How's it going, guys? So, coming up this weekend in Russia, we have a fantastic card that's going on. On the head of the card is going to be Denis Lebedev is going to be defending his titles against Murat Gassiev. I have a prediction up for that fight already, and I'm going to do a final prediction maybe the day before the fight. But what I'm going to do is, for the rest of this week, I'm going to be doing prediction videos for all the more well-known fights on that card because I do think it's an excellent card. I think that there's just some really explosive matchups. It reminds me of the card from last year when Alexander Povetkin was topping the bill against Marius Wack, and they had an excellent card. Some really, really good fights on the undercard, and I think that this is going to be a similar card. Now, one of the fights I wanted to talk about, undefeated 25 and 0 IBF and IBO Lightwelterweight champion Eduard Troyanovsky is going to be defending his titles against undefeated 20 and 0 Julius Indongo from Namibia. Now, for those of you who don't know who Julius Indongo is, and I'll admit I didn't know who he was until I found out about this fight, but I went and did some research on the guy, and he's a fairly decent fighter. He's capable. He's very tall for the light welterweight division. He's about 5'11". He's a southpaw. Got very long arms. He's going to have a significant size advantage in this fight. He's fought the majority of his career in Namibia, I believe. In fact, I don't even think he's ever fought out. I'll have to look at his record, but from what I found out about the guy from research, he's beaten people like Kaiser Mabusa. He's a well-known South African fighter, and other than that, the majority of the guys he's fought have been journeymen. He's fought a lot of guys that were coming off losses and had losing records. However, he was able to pick up the WBO Africa Super Lightweight title. That was back in 2014, and he still has that title, and he's defended it a bunch of times. So he's a capable fighter. The videos I've seen of him on YouTube, there's quite a few of his fights. He looks like a very tall, lanky boxer puncher. He's a southpaw. Throws a lot of jabs. He's got a decent straight left. His defense looks a little bit leaky, but I just think that's because he's so tall and so long that he's able to take certain risks in the ring and get away with it because of how tall he is. And these smaller guys just aren't really able to get to him much. Now, he's going to be fighting Eduard Troyanovsky now. I've been watching Troyanovsky for a while. He's a very aggressive, very tough, and very athletic light welterweight from Russia. Now, he's 36 years old, so he's getting up there in age. So you really have to question how long he'll be a champion at that age. I mean, because there's a lot of talent around in the 140 division, and a lot of these guys are very young, like Terence Crawford, for example. So, it's an open question as to how long can Troyanovsky reign as champion, but at least for now, he doesn't seem to be showing any signs of decline. He looked better in his last fight than ever before. His last fight was against a Japanese fighter called Kieto Obara, and he destroyed Kieto Obara in 2 rounds. I predicted that fight too. And he did an excellent job. It was a absolute demolition job. And yeah, he's very aggressive. He's a pressure fighter, likes to come forward, but he can box a little bit when he needs to. He's got very good power, good foot speed too. Throws some nice hooks. Really winds them up very well, and he's decent on the inside. And I honestly think Troyanovsky, he's one of the best light welterweights in the world right now. Obviously, you've got two other belt holders at light welterweight right now. You've got Terence Crawford, who holds two of the belts, and you've got Ricky Burns, who holds the other. He beats Ricky Burns, no doubt about that. I would take Troyanovsky to stop Ricky Burns. However, against Terence Crawford, I'm just not sure. I think Crawford might be a little bit too, a little bit too tall and a little bit too slick for him, and I think that Troyanovsky would be, he could win the fight, but it would be an uphill battle. Terence Crawford, especially if the fight's in America, the rules of the fight would be tailored to suit the American as they always are. So I couldn't really see him pulling off a fight against Terence Crawford anytime soon. And to be honest, even if the fight does happen, if it were to happen later, Terence Crawford's getting better, whereas Troyanovsky, he's in the latter stages of his career. I mean, he's 36 years old, so how much better can he really get? So yeah, I don't really hold out much hope that he can really challenge the other belt holders for very long. And yeah, but this fight's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a decent test. Okay, as I said, this guy's undefeated. This guy's got very long arms. He's very tall, about 5'11". And he's a capable boxer. Okay, he seems to be fundamentally sound from what I've seen. Obviously, he doesn't have a very good resume because the best opponent that he's fought is Kaiser Mabusa, who is past his prime now, even though he was a good fighter at one point. And, I just think that I just think that you have to favor Troyanovsky here because even though he's a physical disadvantage, being the smaller guy and having such a long opponent in front of him, I think Troyanovsky is strong enough and athletic enough to break this guy down, and I think he will get inside, and I think that he will make being the shorter man an issue, and I think he'll probably break this guy down. But it's a good fight. It's an interesting fight because obviously on the outside, it'll be interesting to see what Julius Indongo can do from the outside. But I just think that it's going to be a very volatile atmosphere. Obviously in Russia, the crowd are going to be looking for fireworks. They're going to be cheering for Troyanovsky, and I think he's going to be hyped up, and he's going to be on his front foot looking for the KO. And with Indongo's lack of experience at this level, I don't see him really keeping Troyanovsky off, and I see Troyanovsky winning this fight by stoppage. So I'm going to go for Eduard Troyanovsky by a mid-round stoppage. I don't think it'll be an early stoppage. I think the fight will go, to maybe round 5, round 6 at least, and then I think Troyanovsky will break him down eventually, and I think he'll get the stoppage. So yeah, I'm going to go with Troyanovsky to win the fight by stoppage. He may have some problems early on the outside with the long reach and the southpaw stance and whatnot, but I just think eventually, his superior athleticism and his superior experience will come through, and I think he'll eventually break this guy down. I think he'll break him down by the midway point, and I think he'll get him out in the later rounds. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Troyanovsky by a late stoppage. It's a very good fight. I've got other predictions coming for the rest of the fights on this card because it's going to be an excellent card, and I can't wait to see it. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.